Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast episode will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, please do not continue to watch or listen until you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Today we are covering Child's Play 2. But before we go into the review, let's grab our cups and talk about tea. So today I am drinking the Plum Deluxe tea, the Portland Rose City Chai. It has black tea, rooibos tea, Oregon rose petals, cardamom, ginger, cinnamon, lemongrass, blackberry, and almond essence.
I am also doing a repeat with my Plum Deluxe Queen's Blend green tea. And it's got green tea, apple pieces, orange peels, blue cornflowers, calendula, bergamot oil, lemon essence, and vanilla essence. This one is caffeinated because I need the caffeine.
And as always, thank you so much to Plum Deluxe for allowing us to continue to do what we love. And for our lovely tea sippers out there, brew yourself a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the review and get spoopy with us. So, Child's Play 2. So,
It's a Chucky movie.
Yeah, it's a Chucky movie. The toy company that makes the nice guy dolls or whatever, like...
Good guy dolls.
Good guy dolls, thank you. The good guy dolls. For some reason, recreates or completely, refurbishes Chucky. And he comes back and he's like, I'm going to go get Andy and I'm going to go get Andy and
Take over his body.
Yeah, take over his body. And of course it doesn't work. And yeah, that's it. Yep. So for entertainment. So, I have seen worse Chucky movies. Looking at you, Seed of Chucky.
At least that one was funnier.
What's that?
Apparently the chair squeaks.
Oh.
I was bouncing my leg.
Oh. Well, anyways.
Just adding some ambiance.
Making it spoopy.
It's fine. Shh.
But, this isn't the worst Child's Play or Chucky movie I've seen, but it definitely, to me, the first one, while it's still one of those horror movies that's still on the funnier side because it's kind of ridiculous, it does have some legitimately, creepy scenes.
Yes.
Just the almost body horror or kind of almost Terminator horror. I associate the fact that it's very hard to kill Chucky with movies like The Terminator.
Yes.
But with this one, it's just a bit more ridiculous. The fact that Chucky decided, this is more in the realism, but the fact that Chucky is I'm going to put this good guy doll right underneath the swing and not bury it that deeply. And so it's this stupid moment of where he's like, oh crap, as they're swinging in the swing. It's just oh my God. It's that was very much a movie's got a movie moment. Mm-hmm. And
there were a lot of those in this movie.
And they didn't really seem to explain super well what happened to the mom. Was she in the hospital?
Yeah, they said she was in the psych ward.
Okay, she is in the psych ward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, she was under psychiatric evaluation, and he was in foster care.
But it's they have multiple witnesses to...
They said the cops wouldn't back up their story. So it was just the mom agreeing and backing up her son.
See, like the fact that they took away the mom, I don't know if they were actually able to get the actress back or not. And it's like if they weren't, then maybe that's why they created that convoluted story. But to me, it kind of made the second movie weaker because it would have been cool if, like, the whole point of a sequel is you're either expanding on the lore or you're making it bigger than the first film. But with this film, it very much feels like it takes you back. Like, the fact that nobody believes Andy, but Chucky's coming after him, it goes back to the first one, where, like, it took a while for his mom to believe him or whatever.
I think that's part of the horror, though. You know something's happening, but nobody believes you.
Yeah.
It makes you feel isolated.
It does, but the fact that they already did that with the first movie, I feel like they were just more effective with it with the first movie.
I agree.
In this movie, it felt more frustrating because you know for a fact that the doll's like coming after him, and you're like, come on. It would have been cool if the mom was involved in trying to, like, if they didn't know that Chucky was back and all of a sudden he was coming after them and they're trying to get away, and no matter what they're doing, he's still finding a way to find them. Like, to me, that's just as creepy on, like, this little doll. Just, you can't get away from it. Like, he will find you. That's at least I feel like would have been a little bit more effective than them starting from ground zero and having to do it all over again. And oh man, it's like the first movie, the way that they killed him was still like freaky deaky because he's just like bits and pieces, but it's like, this time around they still put him in bits and pieces, but it's just like, it's so much funnier.
Because he keeps coming back.
Yeah, it's like they melt his bottom half, but then the top half, they're like, oh, we'll put...
He somehow got out of it.
Yeah, it's like this movie just becomes so ridiculous.
Yes.
That it's more funny than horror.
Yeah.
And oh man.
I'm sorry, did you give it a rating already?
7.25.
Okay.
But, oh man, I am not looking forward to the third one, because I know the third one gets worse. And then it starts getting better again once they start, like, leaning into the comedy. But it's like, right now, they're still trying to make it a little bit more horror than comedy. But it's too ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
like, it has its moments, but on the whole, it's just... You can't take it that seriously.
yeah.
You really can't.
Yep.
So, I give it a 6.
Ooh. You really didn't like it.
Well, I mean, it was okay.
Yeah.
If I really didn't like it, I would have given it a 2.
Fair.
But, like, it was okay, but it's definitely not the strongest Chucky film. And it really does just compound the ridiculous scenes over and over and over. And there's a lot of movies got a movie. There's some forced drama. And it's one that I could take it or leave it, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, the scene in the factory was one of the most memorable to me out of the whole series, really. Mm-hmm. But I think that was mostly because I saw it when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. So... And again, it just kept getting more and more ridiculous. So it's okay, but it's one, again, that I could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be missing much if you skipped this one.
Yeah.
So we'll get to more in the realism, but the forced drama of the foster parents not really on the same page as far as Andy goes.
Yeah,
like,
that was frustrating.
The guy clearly didn't want to take him in, but the wife was like, we're doing this. And she's all but adopted him. Like, he is mine. But there was just so much of Movies Got a Movie.
Yeah, the movie in a lot of different ways felt forced.
Yes.
Yep.
And unnecessary.
Yep.
So, I'm good.
So for realism, because it does feel so forced, it's hard to really rate it.
Oh no, my rating's clear and easy.
I mean, like, first, like, I didn't understand the company's motivation of refurbishing Chucky in particular. It seems like it would cost way less money to just get rid of it and keep producing more dolls. Like, they already have a factory that's making new dolls. Like, a lot of new dolls. So it's like, why?
They said it was to check all of the settings and quality control to rule out any tampering, but they didn't need to fully rebuild him to do that.
Right. Like, just autopsy the doll and then dispose of it. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then whenever they input the eyes and then it, like,
Oh yeah.
shocks and then the guy's like, oh,
Yeah.
oh my God. That was so ridiculous.
Yes.
Like, why? Like,
Those effects though,
yeah.
they were nostalgic.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But yeah. Oof.
Like, that, like, first, it wasn't even necessary. And second, like, it didn't really make a lot of sense. I just, yeah, it's dumb. And, like, okay. As far as ratings go, since a lot of it's kind of convenient, I'd give it like a 1.5. Yeah, a 1.5. So another thing that I felt really frustrating is the foster parents. Because, like, as you said earlier, like, the mom was like, we are adopting him, and the dad wasn't so on board. But it's like, on top of that, even if he wasn't on board, and maybe it's a product of the time, but the dad did not seem understanding that this kid had PTSD. And so he's like, oh, you don't like the good guy doll? How can you not like the good guy doll? Like,
It's just a doll.
yeah, essentially, like, re-traumatizing him. It's like, he shouldn't have been a foster parent.
No.
And, like, in the car before, like, when, in the car of the company guy, where it's like Chucky has just been, like, refurbished or whatever, where did Chucky get the squirt gun?
He had a bunch of toys in the car.
Oh, dang it. I missed that.
Yeah. He had a bunch. That's why he couldn't put the doll in the trunk.
It was pretty funny because whenever I first watched it, because it had been a very long time since I had seen this movie, or if I had seen it at all. I don't know. I could barely remember it. But whenever Chucky first pulled the gun, I was just like, hee hee, I thought it was a real gun and it was just like super tiny. I'm like, this is ridiculous. But then when I found out it was a squirt gun, I'm like, oh my God. Like, they fucking pulled that. And how come the guy, like, wouldn't, I don't know. It's like, you think the guy would be like, well, that's a really tiny barrel against my face, but I don't know. Maybe he's just erring on the side of caution.
Well, there are some really small guns and small caliber guns.
Yeah, but it's like the fact that it was Chuck. I don't know. But another thing, and I think this was more like a movie mistake than a realism thing. But whenever Andy goes to bed and then he then wakes up, he has his shoes on, and I'm like, so Andy went to bed with his shoes on. He was just ready to jump up in the morning if he needed to.
Kids do weird things, so.
But in bed.
Mm-hmm. I was more disturbed by the fact that Kyle, the chick, when she crawled into the window for his room, she didn't realize that there's no way he could have tied himself up like that.
Yeah, like, everyone was like, what the hell is wrong with you, Andy? It's like...
No, the foster parents blamed the chick, thinking that
right.
she tied him up so that he wouldn't tell, which makes not much sense at all.
Oh, no.
But they know that he can't tie himself up like that. So that part made sense, but she should have known something's up.
Yeah, it's like, how was he supposed to tie himself up?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just so much. So I'm just gonna end it.
So I give it a 1. This was just a straight up 1 for me, for realism. Because there's just so much wrong with this. So much. Why the mom and the cops weren't on the same page of not telling the Chucky story is beyond me. I feel like the mom would have known she likely would have been thrown in the psych ward, even with others backing her up. And there was no father. He would have been put in foster care. Like, there was no other family. They established that in the first movie. So I feel like she would have done anything in her power to stay available to him. But, okay. Like, validated him away from others and just told him, like, I'm going to say something different in public, but know that I believe you. I know what's real, but they're not going to believe us and they will take me away if I say that it's real. So, I feel like that would have been different. The deaths are all ridiculous, and like the school teacher getting stabbed to death with the ruler over and over and over.
And the fact that she's like, Andy, get out of there. That was just...
When she locked the door and has the key.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah.
But also, I'm more talking about the fact that he didn't get any blood spatter on him and was able to make it back to the basement before they opened the door.
He was booking it. And it's like,
Yeah.
why would he think that they... I mean, I guess maybe he assumed that Andy would, like, tell them and that they'd look.
Mm-hmm. So I was thinking at the time, either he unburied the other doll and put it there just in case, or he somehow didn't get any spatter on him at all, which is bull, and made it back in time to get in the same position that he was in when the foster dad threw him down there. So neither of those are very plausible, and we find out later, didn't unbury the doll for that purpose because Kyle dug him up later. And he was severely damaged in the face. So, yeah, no. I also don't understand the lore in this movie. Like, in the first movie, they made it clear they needed to destroy the heart to kill Chucky. And that would kill him for good.
And they did.
And they did. So in this movie, somehow, all they really kept, from what it seemed like, was the skull. The metal skull.
Yeah.
And they cleaned it up and built it back up from that. So, I don't know how he was still there in the doll.
Yeah.
And also, if they built him up from basically just the skull, how were they able to do the quality control kind of checks that he said, the business guy said,
right,
that they were doing to reassure the stockholders?
Yeah, it's like, while I'm very happy that there's a Chucky series out there, because they've brought out a lot of decent or fun movies. That is a very good point. It's like, they were like, oh, if you shoot him in the heart, he's dead for good. But then this movie's like, just kidding, that didn't matter. Like, what?
You have to destroy him completely now. He is Terminator. Yeah, no. It didn't make that much sense. And I feel like they really should have just stuck to their guns on the lore itself and how it worked.
Yeah, because it's like, if you wanted to do another Chucky movie, kind of like do a reboot.
Yeah. A reboot or a different killer.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't necessarily need to be Charles Lee Ray again.
Yeah, I feel like if they did a different killer, they would risk it just being a copy of the first one.
That's fair. But then at least stick to the lore.
Yeah. Yep.
Have his heart be the first thing that revives in it all. Because he's slowly turning more and more fleshy.
Yeah.
So, you know, just have the heart be the first point.
Yeah. It is really funny in Chucky movies how, like, when he gets injured, he's just like, ow.
Yeah.
To me, him becoming fleshy makes
It's
him less
just-
scary.
It really does. And the whole thing is just, like we said, more and more ridiculous
Yeah.
as it goes on. So, like, him pulling his hand out was more of the body horror kind of and gore factor, when really he could have, like, tried to lift the door or use the knife to cut it off or something instead of just yanking.
Yeah. Like, yanking is, like, the least efficient thing he could have done.
Yeah. But movie's got a movie. So whatever. There's just so many things that are wrong, especially toward the end of the movie. It was just everything. And they kept trying to up the scare factor of him coming back over and over and over and he's dead. No, he's not. Psych. Yeah, you don't really need to do that every time. You really don't. So, that's what I got.
Yeah, it's like, honestly,
There are better Chucky movies.
yeah, this one is skippable.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it kind of feels like a rehash of the first, but, like, a lot more ridiculous and a lot less, like, it doesn't make as much sense. But not, I mean, as far as the Chucky movies go.
And it's honestly mostly fairly forgettable.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing I really remembered from this movie was the factory scene, and that was just bits and pieces.
Yeah, like, even the characters aren't as memorable
No.
either. Like, they're just, like, bickering and annoying. And even, like, Kyle, even though she's at least a lot more easier of a likable character, like, even she's forgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you for joining us today, and let us know what you thought of the movie. If you'd like to recommend a movie, game, or tea, you can leave us a comment or join our Discord server. And if you'd like to keep up to date with our content, you can find our link tree listed below.
And if you'd like to support us monetarily, we have a Teespring and PayPal, or we have our affiliate link with Plum Deluxe available. It does not affect the price of the tea, but it does allow us to continue to do what we love. And you can find all of the sites mentioned linked below. And until the next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy. Bye!